Muqtada al-Sadr, the Iraqi cleric whose bloc won most of the seats in the recent parliamentary election, has now announced he's willing to form a coalition government with an Iranian-backed militia. So much for Washington's hopes that he could be used to counter Tehran's influence.
He can be irrational, but he is better than the Iranians taking over.
What a letdown for all those American media outlets and think tanks that hailed al-Sadr as a new hope for Iraq and, more importantly, a potential ally against Iran. That's interesting because if you wind back the clock, George W. Bush said that he was an enemy of democracy. For a long time, his brigades were actually killing U.S. troops. But let's not get stuck in the past.
We are very well aware of Muqtada al-Sadr and his background and his positions now, yes.
Now, it might have been a sign that the longtime pro-Iranian cleric was changing his tune when he did some international traveling and met with the Saudis. But that was just smoke and mirrors. At this point, al-Sadr is aligning himself with a cleric who is so pro-Iranian that he actually fought for Iran during the Iraq-Iran war. This is another fail in Washington's effort to roll back Tehran's influence.
I'm very, very concerned about increased Iranian influence in Iraq.
President Obama withdrew our forces there, and it makes it much more difficult to counter the growing Iranian influence in Iraq.
We must also do what we can to limit the extent of Iranian influence in Iraq.
Now, the first prime minister after the U.S. invasion, Ibrahim al-Jafari, he ended up being very friendly to Iran. Now, as foreign minister, he speaks very highly of relations.
Good relations between Iran and Iraq have had positive results for both countries, and in practice, they have proved to be in the interest of both countries.
The second prime minister, now the vice president, al-Maliki, was supported by Washington, but he ended up being very friendly to Iran, too. And after Maliki went down, the new guy also couldn't resist Iran's friendly gestures. Al-Abadi is also friendly to the Islamic Republic next door.
All what the U.S. has invested in terms of life, money, any kind of political and military efforts was eventually in the best interest of Iran. It was a stupid thing, and they realized that the war against Iraq has benefited primarily Iran.
Now, the USA is adamant that it wants Iranian influence out of Iraq. However, its efforts are proving to be rather futile. Now, there is one Iraqi leader with a very good record of fighting the Iranians. His name was Saddam Hussein, and he is long gone. Now, it turns out that when you destroy a country, you also create a vacuum. And somebody is going to fill that vacuum, even if it's somebody that you don't like. Caleb Maupin, RT, New York.